Welcome to Slow News Day Live. My name is Steve Poikinen. I'm here in Boulder Creek, California, still on lockdown. Still on lockdown. I'm joined this evening by my good friend Jason Carney. Jason, how's it going, man?
How goes it, one and all? How's everybody doing?
I think we're hanging in there. I'm not sure. It's been a rather long day. So Whitney Webb, friend of the show, has an article up at Last American Vagabond that when she was on last time, she said, I kind of feel like the Epstein series that she did and the series on Cyber Reason and Unit 8200 and you know, the Dark Winter series and what she's doing, they're all like different angles of the exact same all-encompassing dystopic, holy fuck, it's really dystopic story. And it turns out that she's not really wrong about that. The article that she's got up there today, if we could pull that, is titled "Media Ignores Israel Connection to Eric Schmidt's Push for New York Smart Cities." In recent weeks, try that one more time. In recent weeks, considerable media attention has been given to the decision by New York Governor Andrew Cuomo to tap former Google executive Eric Schmidt to lead a 15-member panel tasked with reimagining New York's post-pandemic tech infrastructure, as well as its education, economic, and healthcare system. Microsoft co-founder Bill Gates was also recruited for this initiative by Governor Cuomo, leading some American media outlets to criticize the venture as turning New York into, quote, Silicon Valley science experiment. Just off of that, is that anything that you're comfortable with not living in New York City, Jason?
Well, I would, being from Boston originally, I would never set foot into the hellscape that is New York City proper. But if I were to, I would not feel exactly comfortable with the idea of a almost Chinese level interaction between the ability to be watched at all times, to have your face recognized at any point, anywhere, while you're walking, talking, just living your life, basically. And a couple other things you could do. I mean, the Chinese have the social credit system. It's not too crazy to think that that could be brought over here. There's a lot of things, just that first paragraph alone, that it kind of makes my mind wander to and think about the potential of.
It's one of the, I mean, we're watching every semblance of civil liberty just kind of get eroded, if not outright fucking having the doors kicked into civil liberties and getting black bagged and they're getting dragged out. It's how do I want to really put this, man? It's one of the more predictable and yet still surprising things, because the list of fucking demons involved just kind of keeps getting smaller. You know, it's all the same ones. Through Whitney's reporting, we found out recently that Eric Schmidt is the chairman of this National Security Council on Artificial Intelligence. Per this article, unsurprisingly, one of the main initiatives that the Schmidt-chaired New York panel is set to promote is the fast-tracking of smart city implementation as outlined by the Schmidt-chaired NSCAI. The use of the term reimagining in the announcement that Schmidt would chair this panel also underscores this point, given that Google's smart city subsidiary, Sidewalk Labs, describes itself as reimagining cities from the internet up. Smart cities are more accurately defined as cities that are micromanaged by technocrats via an all-encompassing system of mass surveillance and a vast array of Internet of Things devices, which Sean O'Brien has been on the show to talk about before and to teach you guys how to secure your devices. Internet of Things devices that provide a constant and massive stream of data that is analyzed by artificial intelligence. skip down here just a little bit to the who will build New York smart cities.
Mm-hmm.
Last June, New York Governor Cuomo announced a $2 million partnership agreement with the Israel Innovation Authority, a branch of Israel's economy ministry that aimed to, quote, further strengthen economic development ties between New York State and Israel, end quote. The agreement was specifically related to the co-development and commercialization for technologies related to smart cities, cybersecurity, and drones. Hooray! I mean, hooray!
I'm all for the concept of more technologically advanced cities to make things smoother, to make things safer, to make things more 21st century, if you will, to help push us forward, to help us progress. But when it comes to surveillance and these drones by themselves alone is almost it if it wasn't happening in real life, it'd be really cool to watch, because just the idea of that little machines hovering around you, be able to take camera or images from an area, to able to analyze faces at a Mach 1 rate, able to do all these things instantaneously. It's a cool concept, but that just hands to the surveillance state. Now, with the situation with Israel, I need to dig further in and see why specifically Israel and not a conglomerate of other countries.
Oh,
Such as why not Brazil? Why not Russia? Why not Czech? Or why not Slovakia? You know, things like that. Why not Germany? Why is it specifically Israel in this partnership? That's the thing, because Israel isn't known for its tech savvy. They're great when it comes to intrusion and ability to spy on you. That's about their forte. So New York working with that specifically makes me a little nervous.
so according to Whitney, the most crucial and relevant Israeli security company is that the relevant to know is that the Cyber NYC initiative directly involves the participation of Unit 82 startup incubator called Team 8. Team 8, particularly its presence in New York, has long been associated with the push by pro-Israel political donor and American hedge fund manager Paul Singer and Israel's government to make Israel the global cybersecurity leader as a means of preventing countries from boycotting Israel over human rights violations and war crime. Team 8's role in the Cyber NYC will see them not only finance part of the initiative, but also training cybersecurity workers who will be hired as part of the partnership.
And let me stress before we go any further, I'm a person of Jewish heritage. I had families die in the camps during World War II. I'm not by any stretch of imagination, neither is Steve nor anyone who's attached to this program, anti-Israel. We are anti-Likud. We are anti-intrusiveness. We are anti-surveillance. We are anti these little co-op missions right underneath our nose to take away our rights. Doesn't matter what country was involved. In this case, it's Israel. Ergo, we go after the government of Israel for this.
No, but while we're on the subject though, fuck the blue and whites too, because Benny Gantz is a war criminal. He is. He currently, there's a trial ongoing where he's being tried in absentia for being a war criminal. And him and Netanyahu and the Likud just formed a coalition government together so that they can set aside their differences in order to make genocide like grown-ups.
Yeah, I mean, the one hope that I had was blue and white was going to pick up the win so that Netanyahu could go to prison, but that's not happening. So, I mean, at the end of the day, what we're looking at is a very convoluted and very disgusting and vile right-wing government within Israel. It has been that way. They've used fear of the Palestinians. They've used fear of the Syrians, the Iranians. They've used fear to maintain their stranglehold on the country at large. We have to look at it from this perspective. We're not attacking Israel. We're attacking the Likud and Blue and White Party. Both are really right-wing. Both are very dangerous. And both are wrong for not only Israel, not only the region, but they're wrong for the world.
Yeah, I mean, look, man, one of the more disgusting PR coups, I guess, was to take the political ideology of Zionism.
Uh-huh.
And conflate that with everyone that is of Jewish descent. It's not. There are plenty of Christians and Catholics that are far more Zionist in practice and in principle than millions of people that are born of Jewish descent. It's like calling, I don't know, dude, a mason jar your
Dixie cup.
four-wheeler.
Yeah.
I mean, it's not.
What it boils down to too is I love Israel and I love the people of Israel. I'm anti-government right now. They're right-wing government, and I'm anti-Zionist. I mean, it could be that simple. Just because you may not roll with Zionism doesn't mean you're anti-Israel. You have to be able to explain that to people. I support BDS. Doesn't make me anti-Israel, makes me anti-Zionism.
I am pro IDF twerk team. Videos are fucking fire, man. I mean that, you know, with all due respect, I do. But if you haven't, take Sam Tripoli's advice. You don't have to take mine. Go find some Israeli twerk team videos.
I'm on it.
Solid. Before we get to the next article, I just want to underscore that Schmidt's associations with all of these cybersecurity firms that are rooted in Israel's Unit 8200. It's like the NSA, but on steroids. They're not in the business of helping people. They're just not. And for that kind of like just over the top surveillance apparatus to be in on the ground floor with Eric Schmidt, who is arguably fascist, running this, you know, New York City Smart City program. If anyone's a New Yorker, or if you've got friends, family, any like that are New Yorkers, tell them to get fucking loud and angry about this immediately. That there's if Amazon can be booted out of cities, surely this plan for a smart city concept, the same thing can happen.
Well, again, this goes back to something we were talking about just a little bit before we went live. What is it going to take? Because this is clear. We're hitting Chinese level of surveillance system with the New York City. The attempt will be there. What is it going to take to prod the people along that this government is not for them? It is for the wealthy. It is not for the normal average Joe going out there trying to work. It's to put that average Joe into indentured servitude. What is it going to take? Because all this evidence is here. This isn't conspiracy theories. This isn't, you got the tinfoil hat on. The lizard people are coming to rise again, blah, 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 blah. The earth is flat, whatever. It is simply evidence in front of you that all these things are conspiring against you. What is it going to take for you to stand up and go, all right, as much fun as it's been, enough's enough?
You know what? I mean, it's gonna take people losing their couch. That's what my friend Sarah Hall says. That it's you, and that can be as literal as it sounds, or anybody can look out their window and see a figurative loss of couch going around. But this is America, where it's really got to fucking slap you in the face before people go, "Oh my God, that happened." Oh, it did. And it's not enough. It's not enough on the political, center left.
Mm-hmm.
Left. I know they want to call themselves leftists, but they're not.
They're cute.
Where you can always dangle another shiny fucking fake progressive in front of them, and they'll be like, "Okay, I'll do that. Yeah, you take my money. I don't really have much, but I'll go homeless to support your candidates. I'll sleep in my car. I'll do,
Right.
yeah, sure.
Right.
We're a politician. Like, and it'll happen, dude. It'll happen. There, I was watching some of the Convo Couches show yesterday, and they had this guy on who was trying to convince Jesse Ventura to still run as a Green Party presidential candidate. And he was sincere, and he was talking like Jesse V was going to A, listen to him, and then B, have a fucking snowball's chance in hell of winning the presidency. And like, it made me angry, because there's dozens of people in the chat that are like, yeah, this is a fucking, yeah, like they're not going to fuck over Jesse Ventura. The last Green Party presidential candidate that tried to go to a debate got handcuffed to a chair for fucking 6 hours.
Right.
You know, like, granted, they're probably not going to go at Jesse Ventura the way they did Jill Stein, but you never know. They might have like 8 more guys.
But here's the thing, too. No matter who the Greens prop up this election cycle, it's not going to mean a damn thing, because you can't be a party that wants to show up every 4 years for disaffected leftists and have just even a hope of 5%, let alone winning an election. You need a party like the Socialist Equality Party that's putting people down at the local level, working their ways up. That's what you need to go for. As much fun as the Green Party is, it's been a joke, and I've been open about this. Green Party people could hate me. It's fine. I've been very open about this. I felt like their lack of creating a national and state-by-state structure, their inability to have people run for office with their backing during every election cycle, not just the presidential one. And last but not least, running for president doesn't mean jack shit. You need Congress. Congress is where it starts. You need leftists in Congress, because no matter what happens, if we have Congress, everything else is ours. Doesn't matter who the hell is president. Doesn't matter who the hell is in SCOTUS. We just keep bumping heads, and we'll make it happen. But we need a Congress first. And the Green Party is approaching it the wrong way by constantly just focusing on the presidential race, regardless if it was Jesse V.
All of that and fucking peacefully overthrow this government. I look, man, I was having this conversation with a buddy where he was like, yeah, but the idea of America is something that we need to, preserve. And I legit had someone that same day tell me that while we needed systemic change, we had to work within the system that we had. And I was like, okay, dude, I'm not a math magician, but systemic change implies changing the system, and the guy who was telling me about the idea of America, I was like, you rent. Do you realize that when they ratified the Constitution, you wouldn't be allowed to vote?
Landholder.
And I just started going through the list, and started out as a debtor nation that fucking went on a campaign of genocide of the native population. Like, what idea of America are you trying to put forth here that isn't fucking fan fiction, homie?
Well, the irony is you have all men are created equal, and yet there were slaves in this country. That right there canceled anything out for me taking you seriously henceforth. All men are created equal, and yet there are slaves. Help me understand. Clearly, they meant the people that were in the room at the time, and those white landowners.
It's fucking like, look, dude, I would love for this to be a place that leads the planet in sustainability and fucking the actual human rights and free press, but that's not the world that we live in. It's not, and it's not going to change by voting. Voting is the least effective and laziest political action you can take. It's people who do shit on the ground who are trying like hell, fighting all of those people who are like, no, we'll just vote in a couple of progressives and it'll be all right. We don't need to do real activism. We've got Twitter.
Right.
In the same way that Malcolm X went off on and Martin Luther King Jr. for that matter went off on the white moderate,
yeah, and the white
or
liberal,
the white liberal,
yeah, white liberal,
either but both. That's where the progressive movement is right now. It's people who think activism means supporting a political campaign and not fighting like hell to get people who won their political campaigns to do sort of the right thing.
Right, and that's the problem that we have to. We've been so browbeaten that America's great, America's fantastic. Why bother trying to change it? Socialism is evil. Anything else but unfettered capitalism and free the market and all this other. That's the only thing that we're going to be able to do. Anything else is just a fool's errand. Anything else is just a nightmare. Don't bother. And yet we have a whole generation of people going, none of this shit has worked so far, so why should we buy into your bullshit? This goes beyond Joe Biden. This goes beyond Trump. This goes beyond this nonsensical SCOTUS who shouldn't be in there for life. And this goes beyond this joke of a Congress that we have. What it boils down to is those that have are just constantly ensuring that they will always have. And those of us who have not will never be able to. So if we stay within their structure, within their system, and play by their rules, the same thing is going to occur over and over again. It's like the Matrix. God, can't stand the Matrix. But it's a repeat cycle. It happens every time.
Why can't you stand the Matrix? What's your problem with the Matrix?
Oh, the third one.
Or do you just not like people who like the Matrix?
The third one sucked. The third one was horrible. I had such high expectations for it. I enjoyed the first one. The second one was like meh, and I expected the third one, being the end of the trilogy, to be just and it was so disappointing. But that's what I'm saying. It's got the Matrix mentality of where we're going to repeat the process over and over again until we decide to do something different. That's the thing. How many people is going to be, who have gone poor, who are unemployed now, who are desperately searching for work, who are out of health insurance, who are so on and so forth. I'm going to have the whole list of things that have just happened since COVID-19's happened. On top of the people who are already suffering that, how many is it going to take? What type of light bulb, what type of IQ threshold do you need to be like, holy shit, this is fucking me. And the way I've been doing it so far hasn't been working. I got to try something different.
Well, and that's the thing, man. Let me see if I can find it quickly. Caitlin Johnstone put out a tweet yesterday, and I was like, okay, anytime ever anybody asks me what I mean when I say that we need collective ascension, I'm just going to point them to this tweet. And she says, believing people can learn to self-govern in a healthy collaboration with each other and with their ecosystem is infinitely more sane and rational than believing the world's problems will be solved by greedy tech oligarchs.
I can't argue. It's a valid point. There's like with her whole horseshoe theory thing a couple years ago, made me lose any type of like interaction that I had with her. I couldn't get my mind around that. A neo-Nazi is not working with a person who's had a family member die in camps. I don't care if our aims are similar. I still want to go punch the fuck out of that person. But when she says something like that, she's spot on. She is 100% correct. That is a beautiful and eloquent truth.
And that's the thing. I mean, dude, you don't fucking write somebody off because they said something that you disagreed with once.
Right.
Like that's, you know, that's being a grown up. And I know that America just learned how to wash their hands a couple of months ago. I know that.
I know, right? 20 seconds, baby.
Fucking, like, I get that as a country, we're a nation of drunk toddlers. I get that. I do. But I have I've got fucking endless amounts of just naked idealism when it comes to the idea that people are going to go, maybe we don't need greedy tech oligarchs telling us what to do all the time. Maybe we don't need the national security state controlling every fucking aspect of our lives. Maybe there's a reason people didn't like the Stasi, and maybe the Stasi couldn't even conceive of the shit that the U.S. government does to its own people in terms of fucking surveillance and surveillance capitalism.
Right. And then the beautiful part is just warrantless. What was this FBI thing that came out? Warrantless reading your emails, seeing your search history and everything
Okay,
else.
so here's the thing about that, man. I've been saying here's the thing the entire show. I'm
That's what I'm here for.
gotta try and stop that. That was a thing that they could already do. The Wyden Amendment was to make that no longer a thing.
Mm-hmm.
That's why if you were supporting it, then you voted no, and if you the overreach in the Patriot Act alone is something that people Americans in the 50s and in the 60s would have been like, that's a joke, man. That's what they do in Russia. That's not who we are. And we were talking about this the other night. The same fucking people that used to be so fucking rah anti-USSR are the part of the political party that's like, oh yeah, Vladimir Putin's a fucking badass. You see him fucking half naked on that horse, bro. It was fucking sick.
It's because it's fascism, authoritarian. One thing I constantly struggle with the American educational system and its piss poor methodology of civics is trying to separate what communism is and what happened in Russia. What happened in Russia was an authoritarian dictatorship under the guise of communism, much like Nazism was under the guise of socialism until they said, no, we're good with being fascist. We got the socialists killed. We got the communists killed. Now we're going after the Jews, the gypsies, everybody else. So at the end of the day, the lack of people's fundamental understanding of the identification of different political ideologies is more of an issue than just the fact that Russia happened. You're spot on 100%. That was an authoritarian dictatorship that ran the exact same shit in their countries. And 1,000% right that those people in the 60s would be like, no, it's a USSR thing, not an American thing. But here we are today.
And the other side of that coin is, because we live in a fucking cartoon, the fucking like 60s and 70s fucking college campus radicals are the people pushing McCarthyism right now. And the people that are fucking like, oh, the FBI is great. The CIA, oh yeah, no, the CIA can do no wrong. They're stand up assassins. They, really are doing a bang up job. Edward Snowden, he's a bad guy, and fucking Julian Assange deserves to be in Belmarsh prison, the Guantanamo Bay of the United Kingdom, where he's waiting to be extradited to go into a black fucking hole for 175 years, which brings me to story number 2. Did you like that transition there, Jay?
That was a smooth one.
Hey, man. Hey, unscripted.
Have you ever been scripted?
Because Jesus Christ, man. So this is coming out. I think I have Sleepy Josh back. Okay. Okay. So the British minister who approved the controversial U.S. request for the U.K. to extradite publisher Julian Assange attended 6 secretive meetings organized by a U.S. institute, which has published calls for Assange to be assassinated or taken down. This is Sajid Javid, who was Britain's Home Secretary from April 2018 to July 2019, attended starlight chats and after-dinner cocktails in a series of off-the-record conferences involving high-level U.S. military and intelligence figures at a 5-star island resort off the coast of Georgia. Many of those attending have been exposed in WikiLeaks publications and have demanded for the organization to be shut down. It's the American Enterprise Institute that they're talking about, and the AEI is one of the more just nakedly right-wing pro-billionaire.
Since the 1970s.
Yeah,
1970s, just their unadulterated. they help usher in the complete deconstruction of FDR's life's work, if you will, with the Reagan administration starting in the 1970s. AEI is a joke, and it's a terrorist group if I ever saw one. Sorry, go ahead.
No, it's okay. Anthony Reyes in the chat is saying he's Bojo's right hand man. I mean, he's the fucking Home Secretary. He's no longer at that position. Priti Patel is at that position, and she is arguably worse.
Which is saying something.
It can now be revealed that Havid spoke at a 2018 meeting, as did Jonah Goldberg, a fellow at the AEI who was called for Assange to be garroted. In a column published on the AEI website, Goldberg wrote, WikiLeaks is easily amongst the most significant and well-publicized breaches of American national security since the Rosenbergs gave the Soviets the bomb. So again, I ask, why wasn't Assange garroted in his hotel room years ago?
Let me jump in real quick. I want people to understand what garroted means. What garroted means is it's fun to be ex-military. You take a cheese cutter, which is a thin piece of metal that's no bigger than a piano string. Nice little piece of metal. What you do is you put two little handles at the end, and then you take it around somebody's neck and you tie it off to a point. We just keep squeezing. It draws blood, and it could partially decapitate a head on top of kill. So they're not only saying to kill him, but to kill him in a very violent and heinous way that takes time and induces suffering. I want people to understand what garroted means.
And so here we've got the UK Home Secretary. According to this article, it says he went to 4 out of 6 from 2014 to 20. Or I'm sorry, I'm reading that wrong. 20. Where the fuck did it go? 13 to 2019. At any rate, he was listening to people like Goldberg talk. He was listening to people like Bill Kristol talk. Bill Kristol, who is a festering fucking pus pile of a human.
Why isn't he dead yet?
Because he's got better health care than you.
Oh, can't argue that. Good point.
but on a panel with Havid in 2018 was Elliot Abrams. And Fred Kagan, senior AEI staffer who served as this is just a rogues gallery of people that are in attendance of this fucking shit show. And Paul Wolfowitz is one of them. Fucking the only other British regular is Michael Gove, another senior figure in the Johnson administration. The AEI has access to the highest levels of the U.S. intelligence community. Guests at the event Havid intended included 2 former directors of the CIA and 2 sitting directors of the NSA. In 2018, President Trump's then National Security Advisor, H.R. McMaster, spoke alongside Havid. Any discussions between the British minister and the intelligence chiefs have remained secret, but we know, and we can kill the article at this point, we know that the U.S. is treating the UK like a rented mule in this. If 2 very senior members of Boris Johnson's administration are going to the AEI to get fucking hookers and blow and whatever else they pass out there, they're going to receive a set of instructions. They're, like Bill Kristol in that tweet in the article that we just scrolled through, is like the entire event is off record. Golly, I wish I could tell you what I've been hearing here. And Bill Kristol's the kind of guy who gets giddy over thoughts of overthrowing democratically elected leaders in fucking Latin America and thinks that, the slow genocide that we've been committing in Yemen is fine, and that fucking
Steve, he's okay because he doesn't support Trump. All that other stuff doesn't matter. All that other stuff doesn't matter. He doesn't support Trump, so he's an okay guy in our book.
Bill Kristol, resistor, bloodthirsty maniac.
Can I throw something in there? Havid has received 31,000 pounds, $40,800 US in gifts from AEI. Just want to throw that out there. I want people to understand there's bribery going on as well to an MP, a member of the Bojo government. And it's one of those things at the end of the day. I don't know what it's going to take for the American people to wake up. I've got idiots I'm arguing with about coronavirus. I got idiots I'm arguing with about the Second Amendment. I got idiots I'm arguing about what the First Amendment means and what it doesn't mean. I'm arguing. It's as though my degree in political science and my constant education after it feels like I'm talking to a bunch of brain dead morons. What is it, America? You pride yourself on being revolutionaries. You're tough. You're American. And yet you have all these things happening before you, but because it's your team, it's Team Red in this case, that's doing most of these things, you're like, oh, it doesn't. A surveillance state? You know what? Trump and all of them know what they're doing. AEI knows what they're doing. It's fine. Now, if it was Biden, surveillance state, he knows what he's doing. It's okay. He knows what he's doing because he's Team Biden. America, What is it going to take, you fucking imbeciles?
We haven't, Anthony, I didn't have it in the queue for that we talked about Venezuela wanting to get their gold back from the UK. I did see that. I'll probably do a video on that tomorrow or Friday.
Count me in.
Jason's got about like 10 minutes. And I want to mention this only because we talk about Peter Thiel so much on the Free Assange vigils. I've brought him up a number of times throughout the course of this show too. Peter Thiel, absolute garbage, fucking just scumbag motherfucker, dude. And Peter Thiel was one of Trump's biggest donors in 2016. He fought really, really, really hard during the primary to make sure that Trump was the guy, and he recently just cut all financial ties to the Trump campaign. And as I found, this was like 2-3 days ago, where a Trump staffer admitted that they'd been completely ghosted by Peter Thiel. And the only reason that I wanted to bring it up and discuss it was because his company, Palantir, has fucking all of the healthcare data contracts for all of these coronavirus apps and all of the contact tracing. In not just in the NHS like we talked about on the show here, but also for the US and for Australia. Palantir has 3 separate health related data contracts with Australia going back to like February now. And it seems to me that someone who's as big a bastard as Peter Thiel was playing nice with Trump until Trump and his 2 little bitches in the UK and Australia gave him the contracts, and now he doesn't need them anymore. Right. And he could fucking be like, dude, I own your fucking health pre-crime division. I own like all it's my company that provides the data to ICE. It's my company that provides the fucking hired out non-governmental fucking surveillance teams and fucking assassins and honeypots and all that shit. That's me. That's Peter Thiel, not you, Donald Trump. You ain't got shit. I don't need you.
Too big to prosecute, essentially. Too big to do anything. That's what it runs into with Thiel. I'm absolutely amazed. And again, America, if you can't tell what the common theme is tonight, coming from my angle, what's it going to take? What is it going to take? All this evidence, that was from Salon. That wasn't from Lizard People or People2.com. That isn't from the earthisflat.com. That isn't from whatever other nonsense that exists in the world. That is from Salon. Now, a reputable mainstream media source, but they're even bringing information out like that. What is it going to take for everyone to stop being okay with this? Stop being okay with your rights being stripped. Stop being okay with your humanity being stripped. Stop being okay to not be able to. I'm an atheist. I live one life, baby. This is it. And I'm not going to make it, I'm not going to have it suffer. I want my daughter to have a better life than me. I want the world to be a better place than when I found it. I'm not going to sit here and play dick around games with a bunch of Democrats and a bunch of Republicans who are literally too stupid to realize the only functional change that will exist is if you get off your ass and you make that change happen. You shut this country down. You fucking go from end to end. You general strike. You stop this country. You stop these fat, ignorant, wealthy bastards from making another red cent. And you just totally throw a wrench in the cogs. I can't. I don't. What else do I have to say to you? What else has to come out from the news? What else has to come out from Steve or other members of the independent media? Glenn Greenwald, The Intercept, Katie Helps. Who needs to do it? I mean, explain it to me. Help me out.
Remember back in the day when Glenn Greenwald wrote for Salon?
Right. That was forever ago.
Yeah, it was.
Jesus.
Yeah. That's kind of how he fucking got his. I mean, I think he was writing for a couple people before that, but Salon brought him on, and then all of a sudden, like, everybody knew who Glenn Greenwald was, and fuck, like, that guy's a fucking mystery to me. He really is.
But what I'm getting at the end of the day is what do we have to say or do to get you off your ass? Get you off your ass. Don't feed me the bullshit. I'm working 47 jobs because most of us, like myself, are currently furloughed and unemployed because of COVID-19. We got time, we got effort, we got the ability to get the information that we need. We have the ability to get together. Help me understand why the general strike hasn't come, people.
Well, and it's not for lack of trying. I think it's the people at the Corona strike.
Mm-hmm.
They're trying to use that as a hub for all of the other independent strike movements. And I think with a little bit of coordination, it can get pulled off. Yeah, if it's going to be a hot ass summer and people are fucking eggy from the time they wake up until the time they go to bed, that with economic collapse,
we need 68. We need 1968 all over again. That's what we need. We need it from Chicago to Los Angeles, all across this country.
Here's hoping, man. Jason, why don't you let the people know where they can find you?
You could find me on Twitter at ParamQuern, and if you would be so kind, share this if you choose to go check it yourself. But there's a website I would love for each and every one of you to touch and share along. It's socialequality.com. Go check it out. It is for the Social Equality Party. Read it, live it, and if it's a person of your genes, support it. True socialist under a Trotskyite vision. And yeah, again, at ParamQuern on Twitter, pissing people off.
Fucking Trotskyites. Look, man, I'm not gonna say that they're not the like best mantled. You know, they're definitely Trotskyites have the best chins in Marxian philosophy. They do. A proven. That's just science.
I'm a Guevarist and a Trotskyite. It's kind of how I've always married them both. So
I'm not 100% sure if Josh is back or not. So I don't know. Okay, cool. Well, that's gonna do it for this one. I know for sure that I'll be on a panel on Nico's channel tomorrow from 2 to 4 Pacific. I have no idea what we're talking about. I've got some things in the works for Saturday. I'm not sure how the schedule is going to play out yet. Or for Friday. Saturday is the Free Assange Vigil. Sunday, Ray McGovern will be in the house, and that will be incredible. So make sure that you're here from that. If you haven't, go watch the interview that I did with R.A. the Rugged Man. That was fun as fuck. I love you guys. I do. Thank you, Jason. Thank you, Sleepy Josh on the 1s and 2s. My name is Steve Boyk.